are joining the room now.
Brilliant. So we are live and just waiting for people to come in.
Live and direct. We had a really good response to this one, Chris. I think AI is on the tip of everybody's tongue in financial services and financial planning in general, right? So I think we've had close to 80 people register for this webinar. So it's going to be
Fantastically.
very good. People are coming in now, which is lovely to see. We're hitting 20. Amanda, morning to you.
Morning, Amanda.
Good to see the chat function is up. It is live.
It is working. Excellent.
Everybody's coming in. Fantastic. We always like to give it a couple of minutes, give people time. This is where they're just finishing off their teas and their coffees and they're running to the desk because they know we're kicking off. They can probably hear us. And we've got to get back. We're ready. Hello, Carl. Morning, Rob.
Morning, Carl.
Andy.
You almost sound like the Waltons, don't you? And good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Although some people won't remember the Waltons.
No.
Morning, Michelle.
Hiya, Michelle. Oh, it's so nice seeing names you actually know. It puts you at ease a little bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It certainly does.
Thomas, Bryony. Oh, lovely. I'll ask Gemini about the Waltons.
Yeah, that'd be great. It was a childhood favourite, that one, showing my age.
Just want to give it another minute or two and then we'll get cracking.
Brilliant. We can kick on off, can't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What about Wurzel Gummidge? Now, Amanda, are you Aunt Sally?
Well, it's definitely going to be interactive, this webinar, isn't it? People aren't stopping already. Here we go. Right. So what we'll do, we'll just get cracking now.
Brilliant.
As there's 30 plus in and people will start fizzling through over the next 5-10 minutes. But I just want to make sure that we don't overrun because I appreciate everybody is busy. So first things first, as always, good morning, everybody, and a very happy Friday to those that are joining us live. I'm thrilled to have you with us for another installment of our Friday webinars. We've got some fantastic lineup of topics and great collaborators coming your way in the coming weeks and months as well. As always, just a bit of general housekeeping before we get started. The session normally runs between 45 to 50 minutes, depends on how active and engaging you lot are. Feel free, as some of you are already using the chat function, pop some questions in there and we'll get them answered along the way. We've also prepared a couple of interactive polls for you today as well. So we'll share those results as we go, adding a little extra insight into our discussion. So let's dive in. Let's make the most of our time together today. As always, there is always a good mix of club members and non-club members. And for the purpose of those who don't know who we are, if you're looking for a way to elevate your business, the club offers a membership specifically for business owners. It includes everything from strategic planning to 90-day accountability sessions that ensure you stay focused and working towards your business goals and objectives. So that's the club. It's for the business owner side of things. The community is free to all. It's hosted on WhatsApp. It's split into 5 separate specialisms. And that is all about the peer-to-peer technical support and upskilling. We're sitting around 1,300 members across all of our communities, which is excellent. We're breaking boundaries every single week and month. Our Power Planner WhatsApp group pushed 500 members this week. So great news on the Power Planner chat, and that kicks off daily. That's a really cool place to hang out. Touching on the club, so the club is a community of business owners that are at the forefront of financial planning firms. We do focus on 4 core areas of your business. That is growth and strategy. That is operational efficiency and team management. It's your client relations and marketing. It's also your coaching and personal development. Everything we do is set around accountability. If you're looking to implement new ideas, have clear business plans and objectives. If you're going to set ambitious goals and be surrounded by a community that is on a similar journey, then 100% grab some time with us, and we can tell you a little bit more about what we're doing. This is a really cool tool built by Amanda in the team, which is absolutely amazing. It is our scorecard that identifies areas of your business that might need a little bit more attention. It is important that we do these exercises. We always focus so much time in our businesses, and every now and then we should lift our head above the sand and focus on our business. Just to identify if there are any areas. If you're smashing it, 10 out of 10, knocking it out of the park, hats off, well done. We'll share the results with you as well, but we'll get this emailed out to you at the end of the session as well. So I definitely recommend you should always scorecard your business. Touching on the community, look, this is where we do our webinars, our podcasts. This is where it all began for the club. For 2 years now, we've hosted communities on WhatsApp, which are broken into separate groups. So we look at our financial advisors, our mortgage advisors, our power planners, our operation managers, our business owners. So it's really separated into a number of categories. People love being a part of something, and they love getting ideas from other people who do the exact same job. And that's the purpose of the community. Without a doubt, someone in the group has been there, done it, got the t-shirt, they've come out the other side. And what's even better about it, they are absolutely on board about sharing their success and their journey with you as well. So if there is something that you're stuck on, you need a little bit of technical support, somebody in the group's been there and done it. So a really, really good place to hang out. So if you're not part of our community, if you're not involved, ask yourself a big question: why not? Collaborators, again, we could not do what we do without our wonderful collaborators. So from platforms to compliance, from recruitment to training, from website and marketing to mystery shoppers, every single one of our collaborators plays a huge part in our club members' journey, and they are absolutely committed to driving the industry forward as well. So our collaborators, again, thank every one of you so much. We love being a part of the collaborator family with you. What's next? So on Friday the 29th, I'm really looking forward to this one. So Octopus Money and Open Door Policy are discussing the rising costs of giving advice, giving us strategies to address the advice gap and retain clients. And the part I'm most looking forward to is managing costs and creating efficiencies. So we've all got clients that are probably a cost to us for us to provide our services. But is there a solution for these clients? Absolutely, there is. So that's really good. That's on Friday the 29th, and that's Open Door Policy and Octopus Money. The following week, we've got the guys from Wade Trustees, and we are talking all things IHT planning in a post-budget landscape. So if you're not familiar with the guys over at Wade Trustees, check them out as well, because they've got an incredible business. And that's enough about us, me, them, and everyone else. We are now with Chris, who is the owner and founder of Jigsaw Tree. So we are excited to have you with us today, because we are talking all things AI. So you founded Jigsaw Tree 25 years ago, and ever since, it's been a real game changer for the industry. You are all about helping clients succeed. You do that with a mix of expertise, honesty, and a knack for making complex things really, really simple, and we absolutely love that. So your passion, energy, and insights are really inspiring to us and our club members as well. So we're lucky to have you here today. So Chris, the floor is yours. Let's talk all things AI.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lee. So delighted to be here. I incorporated Jigsaw Tree 13 years ago, but I've spent 30 years in financial services. So definitely free AI. And AI is the word of the moment, as we all know. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is share some slides with you, which will give some really good insights as to some of the work that we've been doing and some of the research that we've conducted.
Love that. So this is where it all goes according to plan, right? You're going to share your screen.
It does indeed. So here we go. We should have the AI in financial services blue screen available for everybody to see.
Amazing.
Fabulous. So as Lee said, Chris Baigent-Reed, Jigsaw Tree, we work with a variety of advice firms just really to help them around their technology. And we ran an AI focus forum back in January because we could just see the growth that was going to come into this element of financial services. And we learned some really interesting stuff from consolidators and nationals, just to understand what was the problem they wanted AI to fix in their business. And we'll go through that as we walk through this presentation today.
Amazing.
So we decided that we were going to look at doing some research in the market, and we kicked off and we had a small number of providers, and it's grown and grown, and we finalized with 16 AI providers that we have included within our white paper. And our white paper really takes people from, the basics, what is AI, all the way through to the providers and the solutions that they offer, the costs, and then where they integrate. Because I always say, look, when you look at any technology, you have to think about three core things. What is the problem you're looking to fix? How does that solution fit with your current tech stack? And how does the data flow? And if you've got answers to those questions, you're in a pretty good place.
This is it. You need to know what part AI plays within your business, because if not, what are you looking for? What are you looking at? What are you trying to improve if you don't know what you're trying to improve? It's an important question to start that journey on, isn't it?
Most definitely. I mean, when we walk through firms, our discovery process, and we always end up with a diagram that says, here's your practice management, here's what you've got integrated, here's what you have not integrated. And there's no surprise that most of it sits over here. So if you're then going to introduce AI, which is reliant on really good data to be able to perform its job well, you just end up with something that is further disintegrated and not going to do the job particularly well for you.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. We've all been there.
We have. So, why did we do this? Well, we see that there is an evolving picture happening in the market. We're seeing, the consolidators coming back in with force. We're seeing the advisor landscape shifting in terms of, the average age of an advisor used to be 55, now it's 58. We're seeing advisors leaving the sector and they're aged between 40 and 45. We're seeing with COVID, clients' expectations have really changed in terms of how you engage with them. And that's where we see portals like Money Info coming into their own and offering a different client experience.
Yeah.
And then in terms of segmentation, years ago, gold, silver, bronze, now it's accumulation, deaccumulation. We're looking at our clients in a very different way, and that's really important. And of course, we're all really clear in terms of the advice gap. It now sits at 93%. But we have got solutions in the market that are saying, we want that 93%. We're not interested in the 7%. And that's really interesting for advice firms to look at their segmentation and clients who aren't really clients, who may be a risk to their business that they're not earning the right income from, to say we now have a solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, we're all time poor, aren't we? So we decided, we took on a grad, he's brilliant, Jack. He did AI marketing as part of his dissertation. And we said, right, Jack, we want you to do the research, because he had the time coming into the business fresh to say, we want a really good pair of eyes on this. And he had the expertise from what he did within, his dissertation to say, well, let's, really investigate that. And that's what sort of brought this all together.
Well, this is it. And there was I can't pinpoint it, but I'll dig it out. But there was a recruitment stat about how many jobs are now being advertised with the expectation that you know how to use AI. or they're looking for some sort of qualification now, or you've studied AI. We're starting to see that more and more on job specs now as well.
And you know, that's really interesting, Lee, because there was something that came into the LinkedIn feed. PwC have done a paper and it's all around skill set. And I absolutely suggest to read it. It was shared today by Poppy Achilles. I've also shared it. And when we talk to firms, we say, look, your tech stack is evolving, your skill set needs to change as well. And we're seeing that. We're seeing solutions where they can build power apps. You know, they are creating functions in their software that just doesn't exist. And it's really powerful stuff. So, you know, PwC paper today or yesterday, just around that skill set in financial services. So have a read of that. It's really insightful.
Brilliant.
So, you know, when we talk about AI can help enormously in a number of different areas. There was a case with a law firm that did contracts comparisons, and they had 400 lawyers doing that. They've now reduced that to 50, with AI taking the place of 350 lawyers. So we can see that where it's doing analytics, comparisons, repetitive functions, it copes incredibly well. There was also something that came on my feed from Raoul Pal, and he was saying that the IQ of AI currently sits at 120, and he sees that growing through to 1,000. So, you know, really significant growth, and it just blows my mind as to where this can get to.
It is scary, isn't it? It is scary when you actually start pulling back the layers on AI. What it can do will blow your mind every single day. You know, it's just evolving at such a fast pace. It is absolutely insane. If you rewound the clock to 2 years ago and you spoke about AI, you would barely know what it was about. To today, when everybody talks about AI, AI is in your face, whether that's somebody's video on social media, chances are it's backed by AI, you know, that's doing all of the text and the overwriting, or if you're looking at an email, chances are someone's run that through AI. No matter what bit of engagement you're having or whatever you're doing in your workplace, AI plays a huge part in everyone's life now.
Massive, absolutely massive. And this is, and the poll is so interesting because we're just getting the results come through on the poll. And the average in terms of a financial advice business having implemented and effectively using AI currently sits at 6%. The participants of this forum, it is currently at 31%. So that is absolutely incredible that this group are bucking the trends in terms of what they're doing and how they're using AI in their business. And then, you know, moving down the track, within 6 months, 24%, 6 to 12 months, 10%, 1 to 2 years, 3%. So, you know, we can really see those numbers shifting through the poll that we've run, which is great. And we'll share that information with everybody that's on this session.
Did you not think running a poll like this, running a session in a webinar like this, that those results would have been flipped upside down, right? Surely you'd be thinking, if you're running a session on AI, everybody who's on this session has certainly not implemented it. They might be thinking about it, and they might have a timescale as to when they want it to implement. However, we've got all the smartest cookies in this room because they're already implementing it, or they're doing it within the next 6 months, or they've definitely got a plan to do it. Nobody. And if I end the poll, so if I end the poll and I can share the results,
Brilliant.
I think you can all see the results. Nobody is 2+ years. You know, everybody is toying with this. Everybody is taking their time by the looks of it, you know, 1 to 2 years, 6 to 12 months. These people that are within the 6 months and already implemented it, they've obviously been looking at AI for quite some time. They're probably early adapters, aren't they, really? Which is excellent. So what does that tell you, Chris?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if we just move on to the next slide, which was a poll that I think you ran within your group of 1,300.
Yep.
And this shows a very different picture, doesn't it? Because it shows that none of them that completed that poll were using AI extensively in their business, and there seemed to be more caution. And this is, you know, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing firms say, well, actually, we're not ready to quite move forward yet. And there's a variety of reasons for that. We run a user group for a number of technology companies, and this one particular one, they looked at a number of things, which was the regulator hasn't disclosed their view on AI and how it should be utilised. They were saying we're not clear in terms of where the data is residing and the data security policies for some of these providers. And these providers are really new. How do we know what funding they've got behind them, where the backers sit, and how much they're investing in this solution?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so there were a number of concerns, and this diagram is really indicative of actually what we're seeing across the wider market. And there's some research we come on to later on that actually reflects that. But I guess what I'm interested in, Lee, is where does this sit in terms of what you do with AI, you know, the Financial Planning Club and Anthony George Recruitment? How extensively do you use it?
all day, every day. It is literally at the heart of everything we do. Everything really starts with AI, but it never begun like that. You know, it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. You have to identify the reason why you're looking for AI and what problem you're trying to solve within your business. Because if you don't know what you want to use AI for, then what are you looking for? You know, are you looking for a bit of software that supports your video content? Are you looking for something that supports your marketing content? You know, are you looking for something that plugs into your back office that can make everything more user friendly? What problem in your business are you trying to solve? That's really important. You know, is there something in your day that you do every single day? It's monotonous. It's, you know, I've got to do this again. It's a bit of a tedious, you know, time not wasting because it's got to be done. But would it be easier if someone else or something else could do it for you? That's where AI plays a huge part in it as well. But one thing I have learned with AI, it's what you teach it. It's what you tell it. It's how you educate AI to which will depend on the responses that you get. So if I take ChatGPT, for example, that all started with, this is my business, ask me questions so that you fully understand what I do. And then it will just start asking you questions. So tell me about your business. What's your business model? What's your growth plans? What's this? Who's your type of clients? And it will just go through so many questions. Ask me more. Ask me more. And it will just keep gathering information about your business. And then ask it, what do you know about my business? And it will tell you everything that you've told it about your business. And then you start creating frameworks. And then you start becoming a bloody engineer prompt in your own right. And then you just start adapting and tailor it. And then it starts working well for you. If you're just going to grab a bit of information and say, oh, rewrite that for me, it's not going to understand your language. It's not going to understand your tone. It's not going to get your messaging. So this poll here was run in our paraplanning WhatsApp community. So to what extent is a business using artificial intelligence AI? So we haven't got a lot of people saying extensively or moderately, or, you know, it starts going down the ranks a little bit. But paraplanners are concerned about AI. Paraplanners believe that, or not all paraplanners, but some paraplanners believe that AI is going to replace them. It's absolute nonsense. I don't believe it will ever replace any human being because it still needs so much work and so much input. It will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It'll enable your business to look after more clients. It'll be able to offer a service to maybe them lower end value clients that don't need their handheld as much. It will just bolster the offering of financial planning firms. It is not there to take over and replace anybody, in my opinion. It is there just to make your life a hell of a lot easier.
Do you know, Lee, I completely agree with you. In my mind, it enables jobs to become more interesting, to take away the mundane and allow, you know, paraplanners to be what they are, which is technical paraplanners, to do the job that they're designed to do. And you're absolutely right, you cannot take away the human touch.
No.
You know, that is something that's unique to all of us. And financial planning is complex because we're dealing with complex beings and situations that, you know, needs that human brain to really understand what's going on here. And the nuances that are contained within our lives that can't necessarily be translated in a way that's easy to digest.
This is it. I mean, it's just it's what you tell AI and how you want it to be a part of your day-to-day routine. if you've got two financial plans for two different clients and you want to compare the pair of them and you want to know if you've missing one from the other, AI can do that for you. Or just identify, well, in this plan you mentioned this, but in this plan nothing's mentioned. There's an opportunity, or is that something you've missed? It's just so easy. You've just got to get it working in the best manner for you.
Definitely, definitely. Well, when we were looking at our market review, we started with a small number and as I said, landed with 16 across a spectrum of solutions. And we did an AI focus forum back in January. And when we said, what is the problem that you want AI to fix for you? It came back as, we want the one source of truth from the advisor meetings. And that's really interesting. When we look at what some of the providers are doing, we see a lot that sit in that transcription service, and clearly they're there to answer a business problem. And then we can see some research that was conducted a while ago now, 2019, which showed that advisors were spending around half their time doing administration tasks. And I haven't really captured any evidence that suggests that number has changed dramatically over the years. And there is an opportunity with AI that says, can we get that 50 down to 15 or a much, much lower number, so that advisors can focus on what they're really here to do? And again, some research that was conducted this year, which is great. Can you automate client onboarding? We did a piece of research for an advice firm, no portal, with a portal, client onboarding. They could deliver a 28.84% efficiency through that process. And we use a process mapping tool called Engage Modeler, which does the analysis. So we know it's accurate because we've modeled it on those processes as they currently are. So I think there is a huge opportunity to save a significant number of hours in the way that we work with clients. And again, we can share details as to where these research papers sit. So if people are interested, they can have a look at that. So who did we talk to? So this is a summary of the providers, and I'm sure some of you can see and know some of the solutions that they offer. So Re-LOA and 4Admin, they look at reading LOAs that come into the business. Now, how much time administrators spend doing that and searching for missing pieces of data, a tool that can take that pain away. And we've seen outsourced services that provide administration have seen significant savings on that front alone. And then we've got a number of them that do the transcription, but actually they're expanding out what they're offering and how they're offering. So what we've done in our paper is we've put them into a table that says, here's a summary of their features. And then when we look at their features, we've split them into these component parts to say, okay, how well do they do in terms of these areas? Meeting notes, transcription, I've got an app on my phone, so if I go to an external meeting, I can just let it run. And it does the job, and it does it so well. But what it also allows me to do is capture the actionable insights. So that's where, we come into a meeting and we agree we're going to do something as a result. It just pulls those out of the meeting notes. So it makes life much easier to say, right, I now understand what I need to do.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. If we can go back one slide quickly to the ones where you got what they do, what they specialize in.
Yeah.
So this one here, right? So we've got a thing in our business at the moment. If we look at Multiply, for example, they seem like they're knocking it out of the park in all areas, right? So why am I not just picking up the phone to Multiply and just saying, look, I need you in my business because you are going to do everything for me, and I'll just focus on more time seeing the clients, right? But my experience with AI is, you can shoot me down on this and say, no, Multiply are knocking it out of the park. But my experience with AI is, we use Copilot in everything we do as well. So Copilot is integrated into our Teams, is integrated into our OneDrive. I can pull documents through. I can do whatever I want to do with Copilot.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I just don't get the output I want from Copilot. So even though it records all of my meetings and I can say, summarize this, what did I say I was going to do? What did they say they was going to do? And I can give a really good summary and I can share that with people in the team. That's really awesome. But then sometimes I'll find I have to pick that information up and put it into a different AI provider for it to give me the answers that I want it to give me because of the way that I've coached it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, this goes back to what you were talking about earlier, Lee. It's about how much time you invest, one, in training that model, two, making sure that the alignment between what you want the AI to fix and what it can actually do, and making sure there's due diligence around that and time taken in that implementation phase. I think we all have an expectation with our iPhones and Androids that we download an app and we can use it immediately. This is something entirely different, and we do have to spend time looking at those elements. And there are some pieces in here like document scanning. It can pick that up and do it really quickly. But when you look at things like suitability report like writing, that's a really complicated area, and we have to take time to make sure that those models have been trained to understand the FS business and the solutions that they provide, to make sure that it's delivering the right outcome in the way that they want it. And one of the things that you talked about is you have to work on it to help the AI understand
Yeah.
Financial Planning Club and what your offering is and what the business is all about and how you want to talk to your clients. That's what AI needs during that particular phase. And at the moment, it's still in its infancy.
It is. And you best believe I've had some rows of AI before as well, in the way that I will tell it, you're not listening or you don't understand. And I also say please and thank you to my AI, because you never know, one day they're going to take over. If you've seen Elon Musk and his robots recently, I'm saying please and thank you to everybody. But no, you're absolutely right. There's so much more advancement that's got to come out with AI for sure.
Definitely. I think there's a massive opportunity here.
Yeah.
And I think we will see during 2025 more firms stepping in, more firms taking AI and seeing what it can offer, particularly as those AI providers become more integrated with some of the practice management solutions. Because again, the third thing in my three things is, where does the data flow?
Yeah.
If it keeps itself within the AI, then it's less beneficial than if you can use it through other solutions. And we've been looking to make sure that integrations and data flow is as free as possible. And we've struggled in this sector for quite a significant period of time. And if this can help free that up, then happy days.
If you were going into a business, Chris, and you was doing a bit of a technology stack overhaul as you do, would you almost pillar that business to say, right, your marketing, your administration, your power planning, your advice, your compliance, and everything else? And then would you start looking at one area at a time instead of saying, here's something that's just going to overhaul your whole business and tomorrow is going to be something completely new? Or would you say, look, for people that are a bit cautious of AI, because people are very cautious of AI, do you start slow and steady? And do you think, okay, so what is my marketing channel and how can I start getting different kind of messaging out, and how can I get creating some content for me and scheduling and all stuff like? Would you start as something small? What would be your process for somebody that is new to implementing AI?
Yeah, I think it really does depend on the firm. Often when we go in and do discoveries, we will ask everybody in the room if we can resolve one problem for your business. What is it?
Yeah.
And we always tie that back into success measures of anything that we deliver. So again, we would look at that one thing and say, right, if we could fix that one thing, what impact would that have on your business and how great would that be? Because I think it is about proof of concept, it's about building confidence, and it's about building competence in the people that have oversight of that AI. And there does always have to be that human element oversight to make sure it is delivering what you want it to deliver. And we are seeing such exponential growth in this area, and the speed of their delivery of their solutions is fast. And we have to run at a pace to keep track with that.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet. That's really cool. Again, if anyone's got any questions at any time, just fire away. We'll happily get those answered. I know we've got another poll coming up shortly as well. So
We have. But before we go to a poll, we asked you to ask some questions of. I think it went into your. Did it go into the WhatsApp group? Where did this question set get asked?
So when people registered for this webinar, so before they hit register, they had to answer a couple of questions as well.
Brilliant. So what we asked people to do is say, of these questions, tell us all the areas that you are impacted by, and we can share some of those results with you, which is great. So, it was interesting where they saw AI having the most impact, process automation. So we are already seeing that in some of the practice management solutions where you can automate things, where you can specify. I think it goes back to what you were talking about, Lee, which was the engineer prompt to say, well, actually, I've got a different skill set now and I am engineering this technology solution. So we're already seeing that. We will see that more and more come into play. Client engagement, we saw that happening during COVID, where digital engagement was coming into the fore, and those portals are introducing AI to make sure that they can have the relevant discussions with clients. So Phil Calvert has launched something called Advisor AI, which is really interesting and pretty cool in terms of what he's developed. So we are seeing it in those areas and all the other areas. The bit where AI really works is in the data analytics, what it can tell you about what is going on. And certainly, when you look at risk and compliance, you could do 100% file checking using AI versus a human. So it just opens the gateway in terms of what we can deliver and how we can deliver it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I've talked a little bit about, concerns. So it's no surprise to me at all. Data is such a hot topic of conversation, particularly more so since Consumer Duty, to say, well, look, how secure is our data? But not only that, where is it sitting? Where does that data reside? And, does that particular provider have the protection of our data that we're looking for? And of course, we all know that AI has the opportunity that if we leave gaps, it will plug it.
Yeah.
But how accurate it will plug it is interesting. So we talk about hallucinations, where we all know with something like ChatGPT, it's 80% accurate. So there's this 20% buffer where we say, well, okay, what happens within that 20%? And that's where the learning comes in. And the learning is really important to reduce down that 20% to as close to zero as we can get it to make sure it's accurate. And again, it's making sure that things are checked so that they are working as the firms expect them to.
Exactly that. So Cole's asked the question, is there any checks or regulation in place which will police AI getting things wrong?
Not as far as I'm aware. No. There is nothing in place. And I think this was one of the things that was holding firms back is their view in terms of our regulator hasn't showed its hand in terms of actually what does it think about AI? What are the rules and regs that sit around it? And I think they will, because they are looking at AI in quite some detail, but they haven't given that clarity of guidance. And I think we will get there, but at the moment it is just a free open market.
Do you think it'll be as simple as the cans and can'ts? Do you think it'll be a list of the stuff you can do with AI and a list of the things you can't do?
Well, I think, if we look at what our regulator's done with TCF and Consumer Duty, they give a list of outcomes, and then they allow the firms to interpret those outcomes in the way that they would like to interpret them. So who knows what they're going to come out with, but, we will certainly watch this space with interest.
Absolutely. And I could imagine it's not going to be too much longer either, right?
It can't be. They can't sit on their hands for too much longer because of the pace of change that's happening within all sectors. But, we have to have a clear focus on what we're delivering and why we're delivering it. So, and actually just looking at the third element, which goes back to my point, how does the data flow? So how does it integrate with your existing systems? And again, within our white paper, we pick up the core practice management solutions and show you which providers have integrations. And again, it's about talking to those AI providers and your practice management. Say, well, is that one way? Is that two way? Is it all of the data, some of the data?
Yeah.
How does it transfer the data?
Yeah.
Once it's transferred the data, does it still sit over here and sit over here? So
Yeah.
we have to be really clear on where our data is going, where it's sitting, where it's remaining, where it may no longer reside, so that we have a clear map as to what's happening.
You must see it from such a different angle as well. I think it must be so cool for you to go into a business, have a look at what a business problems are and what problems they can solve. So what's your issue at the moment? How will that help? You look at their current tech stack, and you see, can it be improved? Are they using it as efficiently as they can do? And then what plugs into it? What AI plugs into your existing tech stack, and how can we start streamlining things? That must be awesome for you to see a business go from X%, efficiency to Y. Is that a good kick for you? I bet it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're absolutely focused on outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's why we always, when we talk to a firm, we say, tell us if we can fix one thing, what would it be? And everybody in the room tells us their one thing, because of course they all have differing views. And then to go back to those success measures to say, right, that was delivered in phase 1. Did we achieve it? Yeah, absolutely. Or not quite. So what else do we need to do? And that's why we always look back, because that shows us how far we've come. But we always have a bit of a Stephen Covey, start with the end in mind to
Yep.
make sure that we're on that right track.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the final question that we asked is, again, what stage are you at adopting AI, which, is really out of kilter with what the poll showed us with the people attending
Oh no.
this
It's almost like
webinar
you've made
today.
this up, Chris.
I know, right? So we're looking that those two already using and actively implementing is actually 8% of that group. So a very, very low number. And in fact, the market trend at the moment is sitting at around 6%. So even lower. But if I just go on to the next slide, I think that talks a little bit about the importance of the data, but equally there is no intention for AI. I think you talked about it, a concern over replacement of jobs. It's not going to do that. It's going to enhance those job roles. It's going to make life more interesting, and it's going to take away the mundane. I mean, how brilliant is that? And it's not, it's not there yet. We've got a lot of work to do to get it where it needs to be. And I think it's a really exciting time, really exciting. And I think, firms should just take a little bit of time, just have a little bit of play, with AI. I always put an inspirational quote at the end of we have a connections call every week. And so I asked AI to generate a funny inspirational quote. It wasn't that funny, and the spelling in it wasn't great, but actually the diagram was fabulous. So, and that took a minute. So these things don't have to be long in terms of us dipping our toe in the water and just beginning to expand out what we're asking AI to do for us.
Even if you want to start with your social media, even if you want to start with just as something as being a little bit more present on your social media, start on your ChatGPT and just ask it to understand you more. Find, what do you need to know about me? Ask me questions so that you understand who I am, understand the job role that I play, my responsibilities, how I save people time, money, and help them retire. Just ask me questions about me, and then all you got to do is create me a series of content for LinkedIn, create me a series of content for Twitter, Instagram, whatever it may be. Start small and then just start playing with it. It is a really, really cool tool. And sometimes people find, the lack of inspiration to do a social media post, or if you can you know, if you come out of a client meeting and you know your client says something that they're finding really challenging at the moment, and you put that challenge into ChatGPT, it'll actually answer it and reflect that on a service as to how you can resolve that problem. If you've trained it in the right way, then that's a little bit of a social media content. I've had a client meeting and they said this was a problem, and you know, this is how we stepped in, and it creates a story. It's a really, really incredible tool. But start small and just start playing with it.
And I think it goes back to help the tool to understand you and your business first,
Yes.
because that's where you're going to get better outputs.
Yeah. Whenever I ask AI to do something, I always ask the simple question afterwards. Ask me 3 questions so I know you understand the task at hand. And then, given the task that you've given it, AI will come back and say, okay, given what you've told me, these are and it'll ask you 3 questions. So, am I doing it like this? Do you want it like that? How do you want the results displayed? You know, it will just ask you, give me some qualifying questions, and it will just, and then you'll know if you're on the same page. If not, you know, you just tell it, no, that's not what I want, and it will get back on the same page. Absolutely, you got to look at it.
Yeah, always good to check understanding, isn't it?
100%.
So we're now coming up to our next poll, which will be really interesting. We have seen throughout the white paper that the pricing models tend to be in a state of flux in certain quarters. So it's really good to understand how much firms are looking or willing to pay for an AI solution. And some of them may be doing something completely different. This is looking at a per license per month basis, which is what we're used to in the sector. Some of them may be looking at how many calls you make on their services. And that's a per use basis, which is quite interesting and very different to what we're used to.
We've had a few messages, Chris, about the PwC report. At the end on the email, we'll make sure we get it on the email as well, and we'll share it, whether that's your LinkedIn post or if we can actually get a copy of the report, we'll get it on the email for people to,
Yeah.
and we'll get that emailed over.
We definitely can. It's really interesting. I mean, do read it. It's very insightful. So the results again are really, really interesting, because I would suggest that from what we've seen, AI providers are looking at around the 80 to 100 mark.
Okay.
And again, for me, it's, you know, what are the problems you're looking to fix? And if those problems can be solved by AI in such a way that, you know, you save resources, you can put those resources elsewhere, you have more time with clients, there's a huge amount of value. So I always think, what is the return on your investment? And if your return can be evidenced, why wouldn't you spend over £100 a month per user if you're getting that value put back into your business?
Yeah, it's a big talking point, isn't it? You know, like many AI providers, there's different levels to different services, to different access to what you actually get. And I quite like the plug and play aspect. I quite like the pay per usage. I know we've spoke about this off air, if you like. But where would you like to see AI? Would you like to see it as this is your usage, this is your cost, or would you like to see it as an industry that we know, which is a license per user?
I think it's much fairer on a usage,
Yeah.
because usage and value tend to go hand in hand. And I think it's a different way of looking at things. And isn't it right? You know, AI is a disruptor in our space. Shouldn't we start to look at disrupting the norm in some of the other practices that we have? I think we absolutely should. And this is a prime opportunity where we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll end the poll and share the results. So people are leaning towards, and I think, yeah, again, is that because seeing the value of it? You know, if somebody could see the value of it, if you could put something in front of somebody that says, at the moment you're operating at XYZ efficiency, and you know, implementing certain things, you're going to have, you know, these outcomes, if you like. If people physically see the value, then I think you'd see a lot more people in the over £100 category. I know full well from our business, we plug into a few different bits of AI. And we pay for the most expensive versions of those because you get so much different on the output. And that relates back to a question here. So is there a danger of AI dumbing down publications, content, collateral, making it all very samey? And I think if you are paying for your basic licenses where you can't educate AI to understand you, you could grab all of your publications that you've done, you can upload it into AI and say, this is my writing style, understand my writing style, this is my language, this is how I talk.
Yeah.
Remember my writing style, remember my language, and it will remember that and install it on the framework. And then when you have an idea, you say, look, I want you to create me some content that's based around this. Here's the basics of it. But just remember, always write it in my style using British English language, whatever you want to do, it will start recognizing your tone of language, if you like. If you are paying for the basics, you don't get those functions. It is as simple as that. If you pay the minimal licenses, you will get the cheaper version of that AI. If you invest into it a little bit more, then you'll get a little bit more from it.
Definitely. I would completely agree with that. So if we stop sharing that.
Oh, you've stopped. I've shared.
Oh.
Make you.
See you. Over. Do you want to remove that one and then I won't touch it?
I have removed it.
Oh.
Have you got? Yeah, no. I'll just. I'm pretty
there.
certain it's gone. If it's still on, someone just messaged me. I'm pretty certain it's gone.
Perfect. Okay. So I think this goes back to all the things that we've just been talking about, that only a small proportion of our sector use AI effectively in their business. But, there is a sea change coming, as we can see, with about half of advice firms saying that they see it as a real opportunity. And I think, again, it's remember those three things. What's the problem you're looking to fix? How does it fit into your current tech stack? And how is the data going to flow? And it really is, we have to keep things simple. And that keeps it really simple. And if they can answer those questions, then I think that's really beneficial.
Is it got to hit the mark 3 out of 3, Chris? Or do you see the first two? Okay, if it's not going to give us the outcome we want on the data flow side of things, or for you, is it plain black and white? It's got to hit all 3 of these marks before we look at implementing it.
I think it depends on the problem that you're trying to resolve. I mean, I'm greedy. I always want 3 out of 3. But if say it's, for instance, re-LOA or for admin that do LOA readers, and then you need some interpretation that has to be done by an individual, then you don't necessarily want the data to flow at that stage, but at some point you will. So it's just seeing where those things come into that particular journey. And where we've got Nazir 2024, that's actually a professional advisor news article. And again, if you want us to share those, we can share the links to those. That's not a problem. We can see that, 1/3 think that AI could pose a risk. I think if it's implemented well, and if you have that human oversight, I don't think it poses a risk. I think it poses a really positive opportunity. And I think, as with anything, whenever you're looking to implement new technology, it's making sure that you bring everybody along on that journey with you so they understand the implications, so they're not concerned about what's going to happen with their job, but actually it's going to make their job more interesting, and give them an opportunity to continue to grow and develop as they learn more about AI and technology. It's really important. And that, again, by doing that, helps to manage that change more effectively.
Yeah, I think it's about having your clients on board with it as well, Chris, isn't it, really? I think, I speak to so many advisors, and you've got some new school, some old school that, that take all the meeting notes, or they have somebody in there taking the meeting notes. Some people see if a laptop's open in a meeting room, that's a barrier. That's putting something in between you and your client. Where if you could implement a bit of AI or a bit of tech that eliminates that need to take those physical meeting notes and just be more present in the meeting.
Yeah.
And your client fully knows, look, this is a bit of tech that's going to be running. It's going to be taking our notes. It's going to make sure that I've got everything and I collect everything from this meeting. Don't want to miss anything, but I want to be present. There's no harm in that, is there?
No, and I went in to see my financial advisor, utterly brilliant as an advisor. And I walked in, and She was writing on paper, and she handed me a paper document, and I said, we're B Corp. We don't deal in paper. We print nothing. In fact, I have a ton of spare printers if anyone needs any, because we print nothing. Everybody has multiple screens to support them doing their job really effectively. And I just said to her, look, you know, use transcription. You already provide my valuation via an electronic format. So why don't we look at it on screen? Because then you can talk to me about it in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
And then when it came through to a follow-up report, there was just a couple of things I said, that's not quite the way I said it. Now, had she used transcription, that would have resolved that. And as a result of that, they have implemented all of those things and thanked me for giving them a kick up the proverbial to actually have the confidence to just make some small changes in the way that they were working. But the benefits are significant. And I think that's the message, isn't it? Have confidence, start small,
Yeah.
make those changes.
100%. And now everybody is bashing printers in the chat section. So thank you very much, Chris. You've now started a rally of people not liking printers.
Hey, I'm in that club. I don't know what to do with them. But anyway, I'll find a solution. But as I said, Lee, we've produced a white paper. That white paper will be available to purchase on our website as from the 1st of December. There's really insightful stuff in there that firms will really value, and it takes it from, you know, what is AI all the way through to those 16 providers, where they integrate, and then the detail of what they told us and their pricing, etc. So I guess, are there any other questions in the chat, Lee, that we need to pick up and answer?
No, Abby, can't wait to see the white paper. Michelle will absolutely get the PwC report over to you as well. Whilst we're here, if anybody's got any questions, let us know. Maybe I should run some sort of ChatGPT sort of seminar roundtable thing just to try and educate a few people as to how they can be using it a little bit more efficiently. I wonder if there'd be any demand for that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it's definitely been insightful, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always interesting talking about something that is disrupting our space and will continue to disrupt our space. And we all have to jump on that bandwagon and make sure we're able to run pretty fast to keep up with it. I think it's exciting, challenging, thought-provoking, inspirational, and I think it's great that we've got this. And if anybody, you know, wants to talk to us, you know, please do contact us. We'd love to have conversations with you about your tech stack, about AI, about outsourcing. You know, we help a ton of firms, and we're always delighted to have those conversations.
Absolutely, absolutely. A session on prompts would be good based on some of your earlier techniques.
Oh, there we go, Lee. You got your first person.
I'll send you an email. This is going to be a one-to-one on this basis.
I'm sure there'll be a ton of people. I think what you talked about makes absolute sense.
It does. You've just got to start playing with it because it is absolutely amazing. But that's on the hour. That was a really, really good session. So if anybody has any final questions, then fire away. If not, thank you all so much for joining us, the Financial Planning Club, Jigsaw Tree, me and Chris. Thank you from everybody. Again, don't forget, we've got a series of content and webinars coming up. We are here to add value as much as we can. If you want to talk to us about the club, talk to us about the club. Keep your eyes peeled for Chris's white paper. Keep your eyes peeled for our scorecard. Let's keep the industry pushing forward. That's the key message, right?
Definitely. And thank you so much. We love being part of the Financial Planning Club. We love the energy that you, Lewis, and Amanda have. We think it's fabulous. So thank you very much for inviting us.
Anytime, Chris. Thank you so much.